Hi, this is Lisa and welcome back to my channel Faith and Dining, where we feed the soul and the body. Today we're going to talk about comparison. Sorry, it's not funny, but it's something that I still struggle with in some areas. I'm sure you do too, I guess. But before we get into that, let's talk about my first time doing a pineapple upside down cake. Now, I am not a baker at all, hence why I use a box cake. But I feel like this came out so good. Like, you could never tell. Other than the fact that the cake is kind of like falling apart. Sorry. The cake is falling apart without me even having to slice it. I don't know why. I think that I didn't like pour the batter in deep enough. Like, I don't know. But the point is that's not it. That's not the point. Look how good it looks. I don't know if you could see it, but hopefully, like, you can never tell. It's nice, it's soft, like no crumbs, it's not dry, nothing like that. Let's go ahead and try it. I wish you could too, but it is so good. Like, if I had to describe this cake, I'm sorry. I don't even want to stop eating it. Now, the Jello pudding, the vanilla pudding that I put in, it helps bring moisture to a box cake and make it like more homey, like a homemade cake. So that's why I did it, and it's just perfect. It's so good. Tell me what you think about that. Do you make your cakes from scratch, or do you use a box cake and like make it yours? Either way, I hope everyone is doing well. Today I want to speak about something that I still struggle with in some areas in my life, and that is comparison. I feel like with social media and just in society, even family, whatever, comparison is a big thing. You're compared to siblings, you're compared to co-workers, you're compared to like everybody. Like, no one gets to be themselves 100%, or go through life, I should say, 100% without being compared at some point of time. And I feel like it could be very draining. Well, for me, that's how I felt. And I felt like I couldn't live my life out the way that God wants it to be by constantly comparing. There was a point in my life where I had to stop going on Facebook the way that I used to, because I would find myself comparing like my body to other women. And people might not think that, but it is true. It's reality. I did that, and I did it for a long time because I felt like, how come, you know, she just had a baby and I guess we call it snap back, like that's what it is, or whatever. You know, like it's flat, where I am still struggling with my baby weight 14 years later. And it's hard sometimes to constantly compare yourself to other people, have other people compare you to other, it's draining, and it could get very messy. So I had to take myself away from social media, not because I can't bear it, so to speak, but I had to mentally get myself together and see what God said about me and the way that He created me versus what I thought I was supposed to look like, and constantly compare myself to other people. Like, God created each one of us in His own image, and God is beautiful. Even though we haven't seen His face, we know that God is beautiful. Each one of us was created perfectly. Like, God did not fall asleep when He was creating us. Like, He didn't get sleepy. He didn't get sleepy. He didn't run out of time or anything. God created us in His image. The Bible tells us that. And I feel like society puts so much pressure on, well, I can only speak for women. I don't know what men go through, but I feel like there's always pictures of like Instagram models and stuff. I recently just got Instagram models, like movie stars, whatever, what a woman's body is supposed to look like. And without really noticing it, sometimes we fall into that trap. Like 5 years ago, it might be skinny is in. Then 5 years later, it could be that fit girls are in. It's always something. And I feel like God did not create us to constantly go through that. If He wanted everyone to look the same, He would create us all the same. Now, I am not saying that you can't be inspired by someone else. I think that there's someone that you kind of like look at that person and kind of they inspire you to be better or whatever. I know for sure that I have done it before, you know, like see someone that has inspired me. But when you compare yourself so much to you pull yourself down, I believe that becomes a problem. So for me, I had to take myself away, really understand what God said about me and the way that He created me, and to be happy with myself before I could put myself back out there again. That's just my way. If you have a way, or if you struggle with this, or if you're still struggling with like comparing your body to other people, like how did you get over it? Like what did you do? I just had to start to love Lisa for who she is. And then you work on yourself, or work on myself for me, not because I think this is what society wants me to look like, but what makes me happy, what makes me comfortable. Another thing is comparing blessings. Like, I have done it where I would say to myself, well, how comes this person like got this or got that, and I felt like I was a better person. Like, I don't even know who I think I am to be talking like that, but whatever. I thought that I was like a better person. I deserve certain things more than others. And no, that's a negative. And God had to really deal with me for thinking that way. Because you see someone with something, and like in my country, Barbados, we would say something like, well, you don't know what people do to get what they have. And it's usually on a negative way. But God had to show me, just because someone doesn't show you that they're in church constantly or like broadcasting their relationship with God, it doesn't mean that they don't have one. Even if they don't have one, just because you're not a Christian, that doesn't mean that God cannot bless other people. Like, that's a very unfair and untrue thing. God is good to the just and the unjust. And there are people that apply themselves, they work hard to achieve what they have. Just because you're a Christian, that doesn't mean that you sit back and expect God to just flood you with stuff and think that that's okay. So only you deserve it because you're a Christian or by. I know that that is not true now. People work hard sometimes for what they want. You can't judge someone's relationship with God either. You don't know the sacrifices people make to get where they are. Like, simply hard work. If you don't apply yourself to something, how do you expect to get it? And then you want to compare, then you want to bash, then you want to think that someone is not, they don't deserve certain things from God, certain blessings from God. That is not fair. God has a plan for each and every one of us. Like, he didn't make Renee, just calling random names, for greatness and you for something bad. No. We set up our lives sometimes for failure. I have made mistakes in my life that obviously I regret, but it put me in the position that I was in at that time. Sometimes we have to pay for consequences. So then we can't get mad if we see somebody else with something that we wish we had. That's not fair. Another thing is comparing our kids. My son, I realized when he was like in first grade that he was not catching on to his schoolwork as fast as I would like him to catch on. And I just felt like, no, this can't be for real. Like, you just played the fool. I would constantly compare him to other kids. I would put him down with my words, and I couldn't see how much it was hurting him until he explained to me. Even when he started to tell me, I still couldn't get it. I didn't want to admit that he had issues with understanding stuff as quickly as another child would. It took a lot out of me to just accept that. And it took me, and still to this day, this is something that I'm working on right now, like still dealing with comparing him to other kids. I felt that my son would be a failure, and the bad grades, he might not be successful in life. That's just how I felt. That's how I felt like society makes it somewhat. It's something that I pray about. if anyone is experiencing this with their kids, like how do you deal with it? How do you cope with it? It's hard to even talk about. One night, like, I was so depressed about it, and I was praying, and it's only God that like spoke it to me and was like, so I am no one you don't think that I could do for him. Honestly, in my prayer, in my crying, I'm constantly comparing him. So I already failed my son based on how other kids are doing, based on what society says success is. But God has a plan for him. Like, I know that my son will be successful. I just have to, I guess, believe it. But we have to be grateful. We have to be thankful for wherever we are in life while we improve. Not constantly putting ourselves down based on what society might say or expect of us. We can't serve God and serve man at the same time anyway. Like, no, we cannot do that. Life is so short. It's not promised to anybody, and we live it constantly comparing. It's we're just wasting a whole lot of time. Butterflies are beautiful, something that I love. I didn't even know until recently that they're different species. Imagine if all the butterflies were the same. Imagine if all the birds were the same. Or imagine if, like, the turkey, it's still funny, right? But imagine if the turkey was comparing themselves to a peacock and they all wanted to be a peacock. We want to have no turkey for Thanksgiving. Or if the chicken wanted to be, like, whatever. I want to have no more chicken and waffles, and that would be very sad. It would be so sad. We can never be all alike. Our lives are designed differently for our purpose. We all can't have the same careers. We all can't have the same type of relationships. Nothing. Like, God knew exactly what he was doing when he created us all differently. That's what makes the world so beautiful. And that's what makes life so beautiful. It would never be fun if everybody was like me. Well, actually it would be. Yeah, it would be actually, yeah. I'll use a different person. It would not be fun if everybody else was like whoever. Rich like Oprah Winfrey. No. Thank God for who he created. Thank God for you. Like, love yourself for who you are. Know that you're a gem. If you didn't see it before, you have to see it now. I really pray that this message would encourage someone or everyone who watches it if you're struggling with certain things. Because it's important that we stop doing it. It brings envy. It brings hatred. Comparison is a thief to life. Not to just joy, but to life, period. I pray that you all will be blessed. Trust God for everything. And I will see you in my next video.